have this kind of amount. Can you, government, subsidize these institutions or provide this running cost to us so that we are able to the cart before the horses, expecting it to be pulled. So it's difficult. It's a serious pain. So I'm trying to say we've got a challenge to overhaul the whole of the system, starting it from the infantry level, grew with this on entrepreneurship and innovation. Because when it starts there on top, you'll find that the old products or the systems solutions of the problems that I've experienced. I refused in all my life to accept the challenges that are brought for us. When I came in the industry just after I completed my communication, there was in SABC, they had this big challenge they had They used to have a big crew to produce one project, like maybe a TV show or something. They will need maybe 80 crew members to do that, you see. And me with my team, I started a team where we started producing a full project with a handful of people. We're multi-skilled. We'll do cameras, we'll do scripts, we'll do everything ourselves, and produced a complete show, of which it was heartbreaking because they were not used to that. They were used to, when you are a script writer, you used to be a script writer, you know nothing else. You write the script and hand it over to producers, and you'll hand it over to directors, and directors will bring camera people will bring line producers, and code everything. So when we came and we said, no, we don't need all these people. We can do camera, we can do script writing, we can do directing, we can do everything, editing. So we started doing that, and we produced complete project, cutting edge project. We brought it on the table, and they were able to play it with very few crew leaders, of which it was cost effective. We started rolling that Ngamafilas during the early ages of Aboma 2001. We started rolling them, and then a new set of innovative programs started to come through in a very cost-effective manner. So I'm trying to say that you'll always have stumbling blocks by the rules that are set, the norm that is put before you. If you accept that, you will follow the trend and provide yesterday's solution. They use it always the way it used to always be. But if you are innovative, you bring a future solution into this problem. The way they used to do it yesterday is not the same way they have faced the challenges. Now I am currently involved in aviation. I'm doing also these drone things, but I go beyond flying them. We innovate solutions for the challenges that we have. In particular, in my sector, that's where I'm bringing drones for security. So we are building solutions and drones that will be providing security. So I started with that, and then I went fully to aviation. Now I'm doing PPL, private pilot licensing. This, even there in that industry, you find that there are challenges, there are restrictions, there are laws put in place. Like, for instance, when we grew up, we knew that you have to be told to be a pilot and stuff like that. So, like myself, I'm short in nature, but I'm long in my brains. So we refuse that. You say if it's not done this way, you'll find what is the reason. You see, in most cases, you'll find that most of the people that are in the industry, they've accepted that you have to be told to be a pilot, but they even don't know why. You see. And with thorough engagement, I found that they wanted to say that if you are tall, you are able to see far away and long distance, so that when you fly the aeroplane and stuff like that. And that is nonsense, you see. It's something that can be easily be solved, you see. Technology is there and is providing that. Even today, if you go to airports, you'll find that the pilots are still tall, white, and tall and stuff like that. You see. But technology has come a long way to evolve and change that. So flights now, you only take off and land. The rest is autopilot. You don't have to look at far away and also that. And the cabin also can be lowered through engineering and stuff like that. It's a problem that could easily be solved. But you'll find that they've put a strict barrier to say that you must be tall and something. That you can be tall and have no brains, you see. And if you are short and have brains, it's a problem. You see. Now they are missing a lot on the solution or the service that they could have. So I'm trying to say that most of the entrepreneurship programs and innovations will be restricted by the rules that are set before us. If you are an entrepreneur, you must know that you are there to break the barriers, to break the rules, to challenge the system that is brought before you. And when you're doing that, you're not doing that for money. You provide a good solution. When you provide a good solution, people will pay you for that. Money is not a problem. You see, money has not always been a problem. People will be rewarded accordingly. I will say very well for the solution they bring. You see, if you bring a good solution, people don't mind to pay you. You see, today we have a challenge of connectivity. We are bringing that solution of connectivity through different platforms. You will see that when you are solving their problems, people are ready to pay you. Majority of the remuneration that we are getting through providing solution of connectivity is coming from the poor. People who have got little income to spare. You will find that as today we know that internet or connectivity is no longer a want now, it's a need. You'll find most people will prefer rather to limit their food for the sake of having them connectivity, which is a primary factor that drives them. So I'm trying to say people are willing to pay. They can pay whatever you want or whatever you need if you give them a good solution, you see. So when you start a business or you bring entrepreneurship, you don't do it for money, to drive for the drive of money. You are driven by the solution that you want to bring to the problem they have. So the people solve their problems. They are the ones who are willing to pay you, and they will pay you immensely. That's why if you give a good solution, people they can pay you whatever money you can charge them, you can want. No one can determine the money that you want for the solution that you have provided. So we must not be driven by what we are going to get out of the solution. So we must be driven by the solution that we are going to bring to change the situation of our people. So Tina, in our sector, we have technology to bring those solutions in whatever community or environment that we are in. We have got challenges and problems that needs our tools, which is technology, to solve them. Let's go out, look at the problems that we have in our community, and work to bring solutions. As we work to bring the solutions, we are allowed to break any laws, because if you follow the rules, you'll bring yesterday's solution today. Over to you, my chair.
Thank you very much, leadership. This was very informative. I hope most of our youth is listening to this. Thank you very much. So, can everyone hear me? Hello? Oh, okay. Now we'll go to our next speaker, who will be taking us on starting up an entrepreneurship and incubation. That is Tevin Jafta from the Startup Culture Company. Over to you, Tevin.
Good morning, leadership, and good morning to everyone on the platform. Thank you so much for the invitation, guys. Can I please be allowed to enable my screen? Because it says the host has disabled the screen. I just want to share a short presentation to stimulate some of the conversations. But I think while my screen has been enabled, I think I want to just echo what the previous speaker spoke about, that for you to be able to succeed in the current environment, you need to think outside of the box. In fact, you need to remove the box, because the boxes that have been created for us has been boxes to restrict our minds, it's restricting our thinking, and we are being forced to create the type of solutions that will suit what people want us to suit for. For instance, if you look at, platforms, there's a lot of opportunities for us to disrupt the current platforms that are there. Because I always say, why do we all have to use Zoom and have to use Microsoft Teams, where there's entrepreneurs that have developed phenomenal new solutions in terms of how do you enable communication, virtual communication. So it's something that we need to push the barriers, and it's something that we need to say that South African solutions must be driven by South Africans, and it must allow us to those platforms to be used in our own market, and we must stop being reliant on platforms that come from somewhere else. So I'm still not enabled, colleagues. I'm still not enabled. It says the host has disabled my screen. All right, let me continue.
Dennis,
But
SG.
let me continue.
Dennis. I'm trying to get Dennis to enable you to be on the screen, because he's there and now the host.
Oh,
Okay.
I was made the host. Sorry, Tevin.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine, SG.
Thank you. I think you can continue. Could you please try?
Okay.
To
Let
share.
me see this one. Can we see the screen? Perfect.
Yes.
Right. Let's run to it quickly. So I'm from a company called Startup Culture. I spent about 25 years in the ecosystem, specifically in the Department of Science Innovation through the CSIR. So I spent a few years there. Then I went to the Department of Trade and Industry. Before it was Department of Industry and Competition. I spent years there, and then I went to the Department of Small Business Development, specifically in one of his entity called CEDA, and it's where I exited about five months ago, and I'm now on my own, trying to drive specifically what we have done as the commission, the Presidential Commission on the Fourth Industrial Revolution, to enable South Africa's digital strategy. So I'm currently in partnership with 3 hubs across, specifically in Gauteng. So it's called CoSpace, and I'm responsible for driving incubation and acceleration and technology enablement. Where we are located, just to share with the colleagues that we are located, like I said, in the special economic zone, automotive special economic zone, just on the edges of the zone. And the reason why we have selected that location is because we want to feed South African solutions within the automotive sector, specifically in machine learning, robotics, and other enablement systems, and drive that the future of automotive must also include edge technology, and it must also include South African technology that goes into the core of the automotive sector. It's a multi-billion rand investment that the state has been making, is going to make into the new special economic zone, automotive special economic zone, and they're also creating a smart city. So there's also smart city solutions that we believe must be localized. And on the edge of that sits the hub that we have developed. Quickly, just the reason why entrepreneurship and why entrepreneurs like ourselves, leadership must start looking at conversion, is because the reality is that yes, it's a foreign concept, leadership but I always say, if you're not gonna disrupt, you're gonna be disrupted. So I rather want to be a disruptor than being disrupted by the system. So what we have said as the Commission is that it's important that we look at cyber-physical conversion from an Afrocentric perspective. So what is important when you look at conversion from an African perspective? So entrepreneurs needs to look at, in every solution that you build. I agree again with the previous speaker that says it's about solving a problem, and once you are able to solve a problem, you're able to make money. That is entrepreneurship. You solve a problem, you are able to develop a product that solves that problem, you are able to sell it into a market segment, you make money. So in that process, you just need to look at conversion. Start looking at wherever you are, whichever sector you are, look at the importance of conversion, because that is what we're trying to drive. Otherwise, your business will be disrupted. There's a saying that in the next year or 2 years, every business will have to be a tech-enabled business. So technology is not gonna disappear. You must allow a technology to fuse into your business model. For me, some of the mega trends that we want to focus on is 3D printing. We believe that 3D printing and the way 3D printing can be shaped will drive how do you drive cyber-physical conversion and building smarter business models. So 3D printing is that if there's some of the entrepreneurs on this platform that is looking at 3D printing solutions, I think it's important that you look at how that 3D printing solution will enable digital conversion, and also the importance of it being able to solve problems. For instance, how do we solve the problem of housing? Through the use of 3D printing. Because now you are able to print in concrete. You are able to print a full house set using a concrete 3D printer. We've seen the importance of 3D printing when one South African was able to 3D print a part of an ear loop that went into an operation. So it's important that we look at 3D printing. E-commerce, I don't want to talk about e-commerce. If you look at this slide, look at all the players, and specifically global players, that have started to look at cloud computing and the importance of e-commerce. We need to build our own e-commerce platform, and we need to see our own e-commerce companies coming to the fore. What we're seeing a lot of the global companies landing in our market. One in particular being Amazon, and Amazon is going to, if we're not careful, dominate the market. And it's important that entrepreneurs in the e-commerce space start looking at local e-commerce platforms that can compete. This slide just speaks around how e-commerce will enable many different use cases, and how it can be used in terms of enabling a lot of things, from shopping to transportation and logistics and so forth. So it's important that we look at e-commerce as a potential solution. When you look at biomedical conversion, it's important for those that are in the medical field and entrepreneurs that can start collaborating with doctors and surgeons, and how we can do, for instance, how you can enable a surgeon to be in you enable a surgeon to do multiple operations without him being in any surgery room. And that can be done if you as an entrepreneur build the enabling platform through what you want to solve, holograms, on how you can look at the solution, how you can dissect, for instance, something like a heart, an ear, and different human parts, and dissect it and be able to do an operation without you being physically present within a surgery room. And all this is enabled by technology. And it's enabled not by you being a surgeon, but you being able to develop the solution for the surgeons. So 4 of the key things that I've just picked out of our strategy, or out of our report that we have done for government, is to look at these core 4 elements. There's others, there's about 8 of them, but I just decided for today's conversation to take the 4. So one is investment in human capital development. And again, I want to agree with the former speaker, because the way that the education system has been developed is turning us into slaves. The system has been developed to such a manner that it allows us to think, to be job seekers and not job creators. So what we're trying to do as a commission is to say, how do you build future skills, and how do you build those future skills to not create job seekers, but to create job creators using technology as an enabler. The importance of artificial intelligence can't be, it's going to disrupt a lot of our work. So it's important that in South Africa, we start looking at the issues of artificial intelligence and how it can become an enabler rather than something that we are scared about. So there's a lot of work that we've put in to look at artificial intelligence. I believe that we should not limit the creation of an artificial intelligence university or institution to universities of higher learning. I believe it can be placed anywhere, because you have to tap into the human science that sits within us as individuals. But that is a debate that we always have. Then the issue of security. You know, colleagues, for me, I have a big concern that we are really allowing our data to be taken by foreign countries and foreign companies. So one of the things we have said, how do we look at data sovereignty? How do we look at creating our own data centers owned by local South Africans, both hyperscale and edge, so that we allow our own an Africa economy to grow from our own data. Currently, we are allowing global companies to grow from data. So an entrepreneur that wants to look at data centers and edge centers, those are the type of entrepreneurs that we desperately need, so that we can protect our data and we allow our data to be localized and drive local economies. And then the important thing, and again, like the previous speaker spoke about, is infrastructure. We are aware that for us to be able to really compete, we need to build the infrastructure that is necessary, not just in urban centers, but in the township settings as well as rural centers. And these infrastructure must be built by South Africans, and it must be owned by South Africans. On last count, South Africa imports just over 20 billion rand worth of technology into our market. So we are a net consumer of technology, but not a net developer of technology. And I think that must be changed quite rapidly if we really want to grow our economy and we really want to grow what I coin digital just transition. We know everyone is talking about a just energy transition, but there's another thing that we must start focusing on, that is just just digital transition. We need to transition all our people into a digital economy. Very important for entrepreneurs is to not, and again, it's thinking outside of the box. When we were educated in universities, we were always told as entrepreneur developers and technologists that you have what we call the triple helix. And last year or 2 years ago, we start saying, no, but you've left something very critical out of the helix, and that is startups, entrepreneurs, and community. If you look at this specific element within the helix, and we then introduce this element, what we call the quadruple helix, because for too long, it has always been government, academia, and corporates that dictates what happens to innovation. That dictates what happens to the transition of innovation into a market. So we now believe that you have to bring in startups and community, because you have to solve for them and allow them to also solve for industry. So we have coined what we call quadruple helix, and we believe that quadruple helix is important. All these players within the helix is important, but it's important that we start embracing the one that has been for long excluded in the build process and in the dev process, which is startups and community. I've also been asked to speak quickly around incubation. So I've developed a large chunk of the incubators currently in South Africa. A lot of them are working, a lot of them are not working. But I think the next generation of incubators needs to embrace what we call moving from sustainability to efficiency and effectiveness. And we've put this model together in terms of how do you really remodel incubators specifically in a tech and a digital environment. So there's three important contexts there for someone that wants to develop an incubator that you need to look at, which is input and your output drivers. So from an input drivers, these are the 5 or 6 elements that is very important, that needs to be looked at if you want to develop a tech, or a digital incubator. Then from from a process perspective, the incubation side don't necessarily, and to a large extent, must be built on only training, which many incubators are seen. They're just seen as glorified training centers. I normally say to people, if you come to me and you say you want to build an incubator and you say you want to train entrepreneurs, I say to you, go away. Because that is not the purpose of an incubator. Incubator is not there to train entrepreneurs. An incubator is there to create an enabling environment for entrepreneurs to be able to thrive. And you need to provide a range of support interventions to that entrepreneur beyond training. I'm not saying training is not important. You can see it there. But all these other elements must be inherent in your build process when you build an incubator. And then if you look at your post-incubation process, then you need to look at something that is becoming very, very critical. Again, I want to agree with the former speaker. South Africa doesn't have a money problem. South Africa has a problem that we are not able to take the money to the entrepreneurs, and I want to say this, the real entrepreneurs. The grassroots innovators, the guys that have come up with phenomenal solutions that maybe don't know how to get the funding to be able to start at the right ticket size. So what we are saying incubators, next generation incubators must look at, it's not just about graduation. It's not just about how do you drive market access and industry applications, but it's also about de-risking the entrepreneur for the DFI or for the financier. And if you look at many of our DFIs in South Africa, none of them have a de-risking platform. That's why none of the funding is going to SMMEs. They have the money, but they are not able to allow or to de-risk the entrepreneur to an extent where the money can go to the entrepreneur at the right ticket size and at the right time. The length of duration of the funding from origination to disbursement can take up to 6 months. It's crazy. By then you have lost an opportunity. So our DFIs are also archaic in the way they deploy funding. And it's important that we start also disrupting our DFIs. They talk blockchain, they talk financial models, or they talk digital financial models. But if you look at their build process in the current DFIs, they're not even using technology to do all the origination, to prepare and to de-risk, where others in the private sector are now able to do from origination to disbursement within a month, within a week even. In our DFIs, we take 6 months to just do disbursement of money to entrepreneurs. And like I said, by then, many of them are not there anymore, or the opportunity has left them. So it's important that if you want to build an incubator, and if you want to specifically, because this is a tech platform and a tech audience that I'm speaking to, it's important that you embrace, and this is what I believe should be the next, the way a digital incubator is built. Just that what I'm not included this is using incubators as a de-risking platform, using incubators to prepare the entrepreneur to access the funding, and then helping the DFIs to embrace fintech solutions in terms of their build process. This is a bit of a full slide, but this slide is just to show to colleagues that South Africa has a lot of instruments. If you look at the full set of instruments that you see in that is here, this is our full set of instruments that needs to drive commercialization of technology and grassroots innovation and new innovation. But it's not working. The center is not holding. These things are there, but it's so difficult to access them. So something needs to be done to be able to make sure that everything that our government has really developed are now enabled to allow for us to really drive commercialization of our innovations and technology that sits many cases on the shelves of our universities and our science councils. Government invests billions of rands into these things, but these things are not seeing the light. I normally use this example. If you look at South Africa's build process and dev process on autonomous mobility, we were one of the first African countries to have a battery-operated car. called the dual. But because there was a mismatch between the dev process that happened in a science council and linking the car to an entrepreneur that can take it to market, the whole thing fell flat. Huge investment made by the state, the car never saw the light of day. Where some of the technology has now been sold into foreign markets, and I don't want to say where in which foreign market our technology has gone into, sold by the Science Council into a foreign market, and now you see the same technology that was developed in South Africa is now used in another country and brought back into our country for commercial to say that we must buy it. So there's something that we need to do to be able to develop commercialization. What is that something? My next slide speaks about 3 important elements: technology readiness, business readiness, and market readiness. To a large extent, South Africa plays in TRL level 4, where we are able to build solutions through our science councils, universities. But if we get stuck on how we take it to market, so what we need to work quite hard on and where we need to support entrepreneurs quite better is how do we look at TRL level 5 to 9, and how do we use 2 pathways to be able to enable new innovation, grassroots innovation, to be able to get to market. And that is all. We create more startups. And when I talk about startups, I'm talking about high growth businesses. I'm not talking about someone that wants to start a business. I'm talking about how do you enable specifically technology-based businesses. And it's important that we look at this as a potential pathway, which is the creation of startups. The other one is how do we take the license, how do we take the IP that sits in our universities and science councils, and how do we give it to entrepreneurs to commercialize? Because there's enormous solutions that can solve our water problem, our energy problem, our energy problem, our water problem, and other problems that we have. Water asset mine drainage, that problem that we have with the mines, it's sitting, it's there. It's been developed by the university graduates. But what we are not able to do is to give that technology to an entrepreneur like my previous speaker and allow him to take it to market because they understand how to build a business from the solution. So we are saying that you need to use these 2 pathways, use it more effectively, and overlay it with what we call business readiness and market readiness. And it's also where an incubator comes in. These are just what we believe should be a cluster model. And I would like to advance a argument that PBICT should drive the creation of a South African ICT cluster. Because currently in South Africa, we don't have an ICT cluster that drives the helix, that brings the quadruple helix together, and industry together, that drives the development of ICT within South Africa, and in particular, local IT. So I'm not going to go through the model. I just want to advance this and say that I believe that PBICT should drive the creation of South Africa's ICT cluster. Earlier, I spoke about BRL and MRL. So it's important that when you look at incubation, an incubator in the main should focus more on BRL and MRL, from pre-incubation right through post-incubation. And then you need to define it and underpin it with real support to an entrepreneur, not what is currently sitting in many of our incubators, where they are not providing real support to entrepreneurs. I mean, I qualified by saying, yes, I was there. I was the one developing these incubators. But I always say to incubator CEOs, it's important that you provide real service to your entrepreneurs, and you are able to build a value proposition on your solution so that you can get, they are your most important client. You are not supposed to be what I normally call the rock star. The rock star is supposed to be the entrepreneur that you are incubating, and not you as an incubator which you're building. Your building and your products must enable the entrepreneur. These are just an accelerator model that we've also developed, a startup culture that can drive quicker conversion and bringing entrepreneur quicker to market. We believe it can work. It's a mixture and a re-engineered model. Again, like the previous speaker said, you are boxed into conventional thinking. And what we have done is we've imagined how to build both an incubator and accelerator model in one, and how do you drive bringing an entrepreneur to a market, and how do you drive bringing an entrepreneur to IPO or to an investor, and how do you put pre-seed and seed funding to the entrepreneur early. Currently in South Africa, and one of the things that we also advanced as the commission, myself and Commissioner Rolls, we try to drive the process of risk capital. Currently, South Africa doesn't have a risk capital fund, nor do we have a sovereign wealth fund. Those are two critical funding instruments that we believe must be introduced, specifically in the ICT sector, where we fund risk earlier, we invest in risk, and we take more risk. In South Africa, we are very risk averse. Our banks, our DFI don't take any risk. If they take risk, they want a bulletproof solution, and it doesn't work in the real life. If you look at China have a very strong risk capital fund that funds early stage risk at pre-seed, seed, before it even moves into Series A or Series B. So and also the other thing, when you look at Series A and B, you need to also transform the VC industry in South Africa. If you look at the VC industry currently in South Africa, it's very dominated by one race group. So we believe that we need to transform even the VC industry to bring more Black VCs to be able to understand, because they understand our people and how to invest into our people. I've just put in this slide for someone that is interested in starting an incubator. This is just a process that you must follow. Again, it will guide the elements that you need to look at. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but these are the 17 elements that you just need to focus on when you want to build an incubator in a specific sector. My next few slides, Chairperson, and then I'm going to be finished, is just to how do you design a digital incubator. So important infrastructure. You need to have the right enabling infrastructure that will drive collaboration, co-creation. So you need to bring innovators into one room so that they can co-create and solutions and they can be able to work. But your infrastructure must also not be archaic, old, demoralizing. It must be innovative in its color. It must be innovative. It must ooze innovation when an entrepreneur moves into that. And we are arguing and we are advancing that these spaces must be in townships. You can't have a space that looks like this that sits in Sandton or in an area in another province, but in townships you want to give us this spaces that looks like no one wants to go into them. Old desk from schools that our entrepreneurs need to sit on. No, you have to bring them into the same environment that you will create in an urban center. Then I want to quickly speak about a very important thing in terms of micro-mobility that is becoming very important. To decarbonize the last mile, we believe that you need to bring in solutions which you need to focus on. So for entrepreneurs that wants to look at micro-mobility, there is a new solution that is going to come to the market where we're bringing in electronic bikes. These electronic bikes are fully battery operated with battery swapping facilities. And what we need to do with this is to look at that green and decarbonization. But also, how do you localize it? How do you, because currently in South Africa, most of the drivers are foreign and of e-bike or of bikes, let me say bikes, that does deliveries, both of food as well as other commodities like medicine or groceries, right? And most of the current retailers are using bikes now to enable their last mile delivery. So what we are saying is, how do we localize this and how do we look at local solutions from the technology that enables it right through the bikes? It's going to be very difficult in initial phases for us to build our own bikes, specifically green bikes, but it's possible. And we are seeing that there's also a strong collaboration between us and China in terms of how we can localize this. So what we are doing, we're starting our own micro-mobility, green mobility accelerator program to be able to develop our own owners of fleets of bikes that are green, And also what we want to do is to train local drivers to be able to drive our bikes. We're not xenophobic, but 90% of the drivers currently in South Africa are foreign. But then also we want to look at, even across, when you build a bike, how much of the parts can we localize into the different types of bikes. The previous speaker also spoke about the importance of autonomous mobility from a drone perspective. I 100% agree with them. Moving away from just drones or building drone pilots or training drone pilots, but controlling the whole value chain from drone manufacturing to drone maintenance. Because currently in South Africa, we are importing a lot of the drones that you see in our market. When a drone breaks, we need to maintain it using imported parts. So there's a lot of things that we need to do to be able to drive the development of real autonomous mobility from a drone perspective. So we believe that you need to control the value chain and localize the value chain, and also develop a lot of drone pilots so that the drone pilots can service the use cases and the different sector requirements for drones. Then, like I said earlier, is artificial intelligence. We believe that you need to create artificial intelligence labs close to where entrepreneurs are, so that it can also help them. So in Tshwane, where I'm situated, we believe that we want to build our own artificial intelligence laboratory. We also want to build our own coding laboratory. We want to start with a 100-seater, building it out to a 1,000-seater coding laboratory within the next 2 years. And then we're also building our own our own gaming laboratory, where we're going to build our own games. We're also going to build our own games, publish our own games, but also create what we call esports teams, so that we can compete locally and create our own market, multi-trillion rand industry globally. So we believe that we can create a lot of value in building our own esports teams. And my last slide, Chairperson, is just how the ecosystem is going to change. We are fundamentally of the view that the archaic way of manufacturing is going to change. The archaic way of incubation is going to change, and it's going to be replaced by a new way, a new industry, and future industries that's going to drive both manufacturing and reimagined industrial policy and industrial development, as well as the future of different industries. And it's going to be enabled by all these mega trends and specific trends. Chairperson, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm not sure if there's any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tevin. I think that was a lot for us, but we need to get into details. For now, I'll be calling our next Dr. Xolani Ngema from MKI on how to protect, to do patent and commercialize the ideas. Dr. Xolani, over to you. Doctor? Dr. Ngema? It looks like we're having a problem with connection. Okay, guys, let me quickly check. Okay, while we're trying to get connectivity to Dr. Xolani, are there any questions for the previous speakers? Leaders, do we have any questions from our previous leaders? Doesn't look like we are having any questions. So let me see if we have anything. Okay, I think we can continue to our next speaker if we don't have any questions or comments from the leaders. While we are trying to connect to Dr. Kolani, let me see who is our next available speaker so that we don't waste time since we don't have any questions or comments. Can I go to our next speaker? Once Doctor is ready, he will be after the speaker that I will call now. Can we call Sfundo, Mr. Sfundo?
Hi, can you please give me 2 minutes while I find a quiet place?
Oh, okay.
2 minutes.
No problem. Okay, no problem. Sfundo,
Yes, I'm almost at the car. 1 moment, please.
okay. Listen, can we give a chance to Doctor because he's ready? Then you'll come
Okay,
after.
okay. Okay, that's fine.
All right, thank you. We are going to give a chance now to Dr. Ngema. He's ready from MKI on how to do patent and commercialize our ideas. Over to you, Dr. Ngema. Dr. Ngema, can you hear me? It looks like we're having a connection. Okay. I think it's ready. Okay, come, my leaders. I think we can give Fundo a chance because Doctor is having a problem with connectivity. Fundo, can you still? Are you ready?
Yes, I can start.
Go on
It's just that I'm
because
still
Doctor is offline now. I think he's having a problem.
okay. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing?
We are good, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Sifundo Tele. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Education Growing Online, which is a technology company. We deal with career guidance. We specialize in e-commerce platforms and the e-health market. Today, I've been asked to speak with regards to capital funding models. So it's something that's to me is pretty interesting because I've had a lot of experience being able to try and source funding, whether it be on the private sector or on the public. And you actually get to learn a lot of different aspects about it. And I'm glad to see this kind of platform because it actually gives an opportunity where I always say to people, as much as it is important to learn and be able to do something yourself, but if we could have platforms where we can have people who've actually experienced the journey be able to explain it to us. So I started Ego in 2013. And as I explained, Ego is a career guidance and career pathing platform. And initially, you think of capital funding models in two ways. The first way is private sector, where you find your venture capitalists, where you find debt equity, where you self invest and invest your own money into growing the business that you want to start. And I think I'm speaking towards startups here. Then there's another way, which is the public, where you approach DFIs. It's an odious way where you have to deal with a lot of applications. So I'm going to start with the DFIs way, because generally I think that's the way that every startup tries to grow itself, where you can have an array of them. There's a PIC, there's DTI, there's NEF, there's CIFA, there's CEDA, you name them. But what people fail to understand is that all of them play a different role. They may all of them get you to maybe incubate you or get you to get funding, but they all specialize in what they do. DTI specializes in technology and innovation. So people generally have this problem where they don't understand their own business. So I always say to people, if you want to look for funding, first get the foundational elements of your business correct first. So with us at Ego, we made a lot of mistakes when we started. When we started, our chase was to try and get money to be able to develop our system and get it to the public without understanding that there's foundational elements that need to be done. Things that don't really need money. So I always have that motto that says, if you want to have a startup, do all the free stuff first. And the free stuff is registering your business, being able to identify your markets, understand your business in a sense that, take for instance for us, the business that we do. We did research, R&D, where we research which is the best business, or which is the best person who does this business in the world. Then from the world, you research who does it best in the continent that you're in. Then from there, you go, who does it best in the country that you're in, and then who does it best in the province that you're in. And you research all these people, how they actually got up to the top where they are. Now, what we do is not really done by anyone specifically in the way that we do it. But you get to learn from different people who have certain aspects and certain elements of what you do and then they specialize in those elements and you learn like that. So most startups make that mistake of not understanding that that's the length in which you need to do your foundational elements before you approach the DFIs. Because when you approach a DFI, so I think someone mentioned, there's a speaker who mentioned, I think the speaker who spoke before me mentioned business plans. Oh, sorry, I think it was the first speaker. They mentioned business plans, how business plans can curtail a startup, because most of us don't know how to do them. So there's certain rules that DFIs want, which can stifle you and demoralize you. Especially because you'll do the work that they want, but you'll find that there's more things that need to be done, the foundational elements, as I said. So understand your business better. And then I think incubation is very important to this. So whatever DFI that you pick to try and apply to, you need to find out more. You need to try and go for more resources than just the resource of funds. You need the resources of expertise. Now, I heard our previous speaker speak towards these incubations being able to grow and develop entrepreneurs, which is good. There are certain, what do you call them? I don't want to say bureaucracies. It's there are certain, there's a word I'm looking for, but there are certain structures that you need to learn as an entrepreneur, because you need to be able to function within those frameworks. But I always believe that once you call yourself an entrepreneur, there's a difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone, as the previous speaker mentioned, a rock star. This is someone who's doing something that we can't completely understand, because it's a vision that's sitting in their head. That's what DFIs in our country struggle to understand. That's what the application that you submit to a DFI completely misses and can't understand that part. Which is, you need to be able to explain it and in your business plan, and if you get a chance to do a presentation to the DFI, to be able to explain what your business is and project this vision that you want to do. So our journey was, as I said, we made a lot of mistakes in the beginning where we tried to apply to DTI, we tried to apply to CDI and CIFA, but we were not ready. Our foundational elements were not done. So we came back, we did our foundational elements, we pulled in all the stakeholders that are free. As I mentioned, do all the free stuff first. The partnerships that you can form that give you the baseline and the target market and the audience that you want to be able to sell your product to. We did that. Then we're able to approach DFIs in a bit of a different manner. As I said, do all the free stuff first. So we went first to TIKZN. TIKZN gives you two different elements. One, they help you find a business plan. And then two, they give you access to different avenues where you can better be incubated into these DFIs that you can be able to apply to eventually. But once you're someone who's incubated by TIKZN and someone who can be recognized to have gone through the 3 months with TIKZN, it gives the other DFIs an opportunity to go, you know what, this person has gone through a process that we know. Now it gives you a better opportunity. It's not a guarantee, but it's a better opportunity. From there, we were able to be incubated by DUT, and then DUT gave us our first funding in order for us to be able to develop our prototype of our system, and we did that. And that funding catapulted us to be able to speak to bigger DFIs. Now we spoke to the CEDA, we're able to engage with Itala, and be able to get more grant resources for us to be able to develop. That is my DFI or public funding experience that we've gone through. There's a lot of other people who've gone through way major situations where they've applied to PIC. Now, for what we do, because we're in the technology space, it's a bit difficult to go into those kind of funding institutions. But like I said, if your foundational elements are that strong, whether it be property, whether it be development businesses, you'll be able to get help identifying which DFI that you need to be able to apply for. But before you can try and go to that specific big DFI, try the smaller ones that can actually drive you towards the bigger one. Then comes my favorite part of finding capital investment, which is the private sector. Now, the private sector looks at things a bit differently than our DFIs. As the previous speaker spoke and said, our DFIs don't take risks on entrepreneurs. They are a bit afraid. Now, the private sector acts very differently. They actually encourage entrepreneurship. They encourage risk, even though they themselves do a lot of investigations and they interrogate your whether it be your business plan. You don't really need. You need a proposal really when it comes to private sector and actually doing the POC that leads them to going, you know what, let's give this person a chance, which is what going through the agony of a DFI does. It actually gets you to that prototype phase and then that POC phase. So our journey was, our first private sector was DUT itself. So DUT is subsidized by the government, but also has a private side to it. So our first experience was DUT, who funded us with over 2 million rand to be able to do trademarks across the African diaspora, being able to trademark our business in over 25 countries, but also being able to engage with the European and the American markets. Then they assisted us in being able to do a POC for our system. So when we initially launched our system, within 4 days, we had over 12,800 users. And in just so doing that, we were approached by Google and we were approached by App Store to say, guys, we see your app being downloaded so significantly in the space of 4 days, but the protection that you guys have with the system needs to be evaluated and looked at it differently, especially because when we look at the offering that you're doing, you're actually a competitor of ours. So can we suggest differently in how you do your cloud computing? And in came Dubai Tradeport. We engaged with Dubai Tradeport through Steve's assistance, and we were able to move our whole platform into the Dubai Tradeport, where now it's no longer a risk factor because Dubai Tradeport covers all the security elements that are necessary. And then we carried on driving our system, and that engagement on 4 days of 12,800 users with over 3,000 successful applications brought ABSA to the table. As we speak, we're in partnership with ABSA. and EFSA is investing a great amount of resources into us. So that's our journey when it comes to funding. But in order to pull in an EFSA, there's so much work that needs to be done. As I said, the POC, people, it's important, guys. I won't even lie to you. It's important to do a POC. It doesn't matter how big the POC is, but you need to do a proof of concept so that you can actually test the elements of what you want to do. And I advise it the most because when it comes to private sector, they can assist and unlock so many doors, but they need you to prove what you're speaking about. And then I guess the last part would be the entrepreneur themselves. You know, I understand that we all have different personalities and we all have our own way of presenting ourselves. But guys, I would advise and staunchly advise that it's important to have a passion and love for what you do, because in the world of entrepreneurship, days are never the same. You know, some days are horrible. I'm sure most of us know that experience. Some days are horrible. So you need to be able to have that thing that is able to drive you every day. And you have to be able to project that as you speak to the private sector, because unlike the public where you need to submit documents and applications, in the private, they want you to stand in front of them and show them the vision that you're speaking about. I don't know if I was able to explain the whole capital funding models to you guys that are available. And I hope everything I've said has been useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sfundo. I think we'll have another session. You'll see where you've got things that you've omitted. Once we have another session, we'll have to call you back. Now
I'd love that actually a physical one would actually be even better because I could actually present and project something. Right now, I'm sorry to present like this. I'm on the road.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I will take that into note. Thank you, Sfundo.
Thank you.
Now we are going to our next speaker, Dr. Ngema. I think he is now online again. Over to you, Dr. Ngema.
Thank you, Ms. Kasa. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
All right. I'll share my screen because I'm connected through my PC. But however, when I use my PC, you cannot actually hear me. So I'm connected through the phone so that I can present. So I'll just quickly share my screen. But then it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So if you can assist me with that. Ms. Kasa?
Yes, I'm trying to, but you are the co-host. You've been allowed to be a co-host. I think you can try and share now.
All right, it still gives the same message.
Dennis, please help. Mr. Rolls. Again.
Yes. I don't know, because I can see now on the PC I'm connected as Olani Ngema, but on my phone I connected it differently. So I don't know if you can just check on the participants list.
Yeah, you are the co-host on Doctor, the one that you were first connected with. That's where you are the co-host. I think you.
He has two devices, so one needs to go away, and then you need to deactivate the one device, and then so that you can use the next his phone or add his phone. No. One device is a co-host, but the other device is phone. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No. Okay, I'll just try and open my presentation now. I think it's allowing me to share my screen now. All right. Thank you. Right. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Dr. Kalani Ngema, and I would like to thank the colleagues to invite me to today's event. I will just try to be quick as much as I can and also be clear, but I will just explain in terms of the topic that I was given, how to patent and commercialize ideas. Of course, I'm Dr. Kalani Ngema from the Moses Kotane Institute. I'm from the Innovation and Technology Unit, whereby Moses Kotane, through this unit, is mandated to conduct research on innovation and emerging technology to assist with the information that help innovators and entrepreneurs to contribute to the economy of the province. Of course, one of the things that we do, we are mandated by the Department of Economic Development, whereby we need to establish digital centers, and we do this incorporating the digital transformation strategy, of which it was also developed by us, where we develop these digital centers, we implement the ICT projects so that the entrepreneurs and innovators have access to these ICT infrastructures, so that whatever ideas that they have, they may use these facilities. And of course, we can also try and help them through our programs that we have. So one of the opportunities in our digital centers, of course, we try and create employment in geographical, rural, and township areas, and also the opportunity to demonstrate the provincial innovativeness and ability and skills, and also the potential to escalate economic growth in rural and township areas, and enhance innovation and entrepreneurship in rural and township areas. But more than that, we assist innovators with intellectual property or protection or patenting through our development programs. That could be innovation competitions such as hackathons, innovation awards. So that's how we help the innovators in terms of patenting their ideas. So I'll just quickly jump in terms of what is a patent. Of course, a patent is a form of intellectual property, right, that the South African Patent Office grants to innovators to prohibit others from using or making and selling or importing their inventions, so that if someone copies their patented invention, they can be able to sue those people because they will be the owner of that idea, of course. But of course, there are different types of patents because we also work in different areas of different areas, whether it's research or whatever that one could be focusing on. So the types of patenting does not necessarily have to do only with technology. So we have different types of patents, one being the utility patent, whereby we protect a product or a process, machine or improvement of one of them. So we have instances whereby there is a process that some people they use, but however, if then one has created some novelty around that, then if it's improving that process or the product, then that needs to be protected as well. There's also a design patent whereby this patent protects a set of principles concerned with the nature or appreciation of that object or beauty, and the appearance and ornamental design of the functional item. Because when you design a certain invention, so if it's something that can be used in the market, you have to also protect that. So there's also a plant patent, hence I indicated that protecting your idea does not only just focus on the technology aspect. So there's a plant patent whereby it protects newly invented, asexually reproduced or new distinct type of plant. So that is also allowed, one can protect that. Then there's also a software patent, but however, with this one is hard to get, and it typically requires an experienced software patent attorney, because all the patent processes, of course, you have to involve the attorney so that they may possibly assist. And that attorney must specialize in the space of patenting. There are also other types of patents such as trademarks, trade secrets, and copyrights, of course. So then, of which it speaks to today's topic. So the question is how to patent an idea. Of course, there is a need for a qualified patent attorney or attorneys that specialize in identification and protection or persecution and enforcement of the patents. So you need someone who specializes in that area so that they may exactly know how they're going to assist you, because we may not all be familiar with the whole processes, and in navigating through that space alone, if you don't have an experience, you may face some challenges that you may not be able to move on with whatever that you're trying to protect. So of course, an attorney who has this qualification is entitled to register or file the patent in South Africa. And of course, the South African Patent Office will check and see if necessary forms and specifications or designing are included in the application, because that's also important. But however, if one is submitting an invalid patent, that can be revoked on the application, because it is important before you can say you have an idea, you must do an intense research so that if you're improving anything or you're coming up with something new, you can actually on your own, when you've done thorough research, and say, yes, my idea is different from this person because this person, they use this methodology to come up with this, they use this kind of design to develop their product. So it must be novel, because if it incorporates other people's ideas, of course, that patent is not valid. So the first steps to patent an idea, one, when you have come up with an idea, you have done your research and you realize that this is something that I can actually make use of it. You keep it you must keep that as a secret, because it is very important, and you must do that until the patent is granted. Because if you reveal that to the public while you haven't started with the process of patenting your idea, that means then your idea is open to the public, and people that may actually steal your idea, therefore you may not be able to protect your idea. So when you're doing all these steps, the first step, you have 12 months in which to file the complete patent application, based on your South African provision patent application, of course. However, sometimes some people, they may file for patenting, and this is would be advised by the attorney that will be assisting that individual. Some, they may proceed to complete patent application. I will explain that in the next slides. So therefore, in the period whereby you applying for a provisional, it is important that you give the attorneys sufficient time so that you improve your product, you incorporate whatever that may improve your idea, so that by the time that you file for the complete patent, you know exactly that your product does work, your product will do what it's intended for, and you can actually benefit from it. So while we're on the first steps of the patenting idea, of course, you must, as I indicated in the previous slide, you must search for similar inventions, because your invention or your idea, it has to have some novelty. So which means that similar inventions anywhere in the world will destroy the novelty of your idea. So then that will just forfeit your rights. Because if you have used other people's ideas, then when an attorney is assisting you to check for novelty and they realize that you have actually incorporated other people's ideas, then of course you may not continue with that, but you can work on improving that idea by coming up with other means that are not in relation with other people's inventions. So therefore, it is very important that you do your research. before you're applying for a patent, so that the other aspect, you do not waste your money, because also the attorneys, they charge a fee when they have to assist you. There could be people that have specialized in that area because of their experience, where they're in a space of not being actually the attorneys, but because they work in that space, they may actually assist you. But it is of paramount importance that an attorney can assist you, because when then you are assisted by someone who's qualified in that space, they know exactly what to do, and they will never, just come up with things that may perhaps benefit from. So it is very important that we look for a qualified attorney. So as I indicated, there are two steps when you're fighting for a patent. So there's a provisional patent application, and there's also a complete patent application. So with the provisional patent application, you obtain a patent in two steps process that is spaced in 12 months apart. So this gives you time to determine the market for your invention, as I indicated that once you file for the provisional application, meaning that your idea is protected within that period. So if you need to do any improvements, want to refine something prior to the complete patent application, you can do so that your idea is a complete product and you can actually use it in the market. So what is also important, any modification that you make to the invention during that period within 12 months must also be kept as a secret until that modification have been captured in the second provisional patent application. So it is very important that, because we understand that whether it's inventors or entrepreneurs or whoever, because whoever that come with a new idea is an inventor, of course. We understand that once they've realized that they have an idea or a product that they can actually benefit from, the minute you share that with other people, some people, they may use that and steal your idea, and you, after a later stage, because you may be limited in terms of funding, they've already run with your idea, they are making money and doing all of those things. So it is important that once you establish that your idea is novel and there is something that you can do about it, so while you're in the process of protecting your idea, it is important that you do not share that idea with other people, because by the time where they start with the process of protecting your idea, you may find out that someone has already stolen your idea. So with the complete patent application, of course, that is the second step, of which is to file for a complete patent application within 12 months of the provisional patent application in South Africa, or in each country where you wish to obtain protection, because you can do it in South Africa or choose to do it with different countries in Africa or even abroad. So the rights you are protecting will date back to the filing date of your South African provisional patent application. Of course, during this initial 12 months grace period, your rights are kept open, so meaning you can modify anything. So, however, what is important, you're not only limited to patent your idea only in South Africa. You can file your patent application in each country where you wish to protect your idea, so that you expand the opportunities or the prospects of being involved in other markets other than in South Africa. But of course, all these steps, they require funding, and you find out that when you're patenting for other countries, that will need some kind of funding, as that may be more compared to the South African one. But what is advisable is that you start from home so that you can benefit from that. Then if you want to expand, then the attorneys and whoever that may be of advisory services, they will advise you accordingly. So in a nutshell, patenting is part of commercialization, because you start from the idea, you patent, you protect, then you have to move to the market. So if from the screen that I'm sharing, if you look at the first block and the second block and the third block on your right, of course, that is the steps that I've just covered in the previous slides. So when now you're moving to commercialization, of course, when you've protected your idea and now you know that it is usable and you can actually now go to the market, whether now if it's off business, there are services that you can use it for, that's where you start now. You have to, try and find innovation partners and, approach potential industries partners to assist bringing the technology from the lab to the market. It may not necessarily be the lab, whatever space that you're working in. So that will also allow you, if there are people who are interested in your idea, because that's where, of course, because we are so concerned that you want your idea to be successful and be in the market, you find out that you not give yourself time, but you're so worried about getting the money and you forget the value of your product. And there are people that come, you negotiate with them, and if probably you just want money, then that's why you lose your idea, end up selling it. So you have to now, with the innovation partners that you have partnered with, so the people that may negotiate and want to use your idea, so they must assist you in terms of determining that whether selling that idea is advisable or you somehow negotiate and own a certain percentage of it. But because here in South Africa, we do have challenges in terms of funding, you may find out other inventors, they end up selling their idea so that they can, benefit from that money they may possibly get. So once you've done that, you also have to, of course, you license your product now with the partners that you've partnered with, that you're working in that space, so that you can use your product, because it will go different stages. If you're in a space, I would say you're using sensors to detect tuberculosis, then it has to go different stages. You have to do trial tests and clinical tests. There's some validation. Before it gets to a stage whereby practitioners, they will say, no, we can actually use this product. So now that's when, now you check your market in terms of how you can actually get some revenue with this. So it's different steps, but the easy steps, of course, is the one for patenting, and I think they're important. But of course, the one of commercialization, that's where you have to get your business models in place so that your vision is clear, so that when now you move on with that idea that has been protected, you can actually have people that can invest in your idea. So that covers my presentation for today. I hope it has benefited people that are in a space of trying to protect their ideas. That'll be all from my side, Chair. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Before we move to our next speaker, leaders, do you have any questions, comments? Hi, guys. Or we can continue if you don't have questions.
Sorry, so a quick question quickly. So to research whether your idea has been patented already, are there any sites we need to visit, or do you know any sites that we can visit to research that?
Thank you for the question. With this, it's in two ways, because when you're coming up with an idea, or when you have realized that, because it could be something that you thought about it, but then now you need to support it with doing some research. So there is one aspect where you do your research about the work that you want to, protect or invent. So there is that aspect of that research where you finally say, this is the idea. You have all the necessary steps that support how you came up with that idea. But of course, in terms of searching whether that idea exists somewhere or not, there are there are people that need to advise, such as attorneys. So from the Moses Kotane perspective, the unfortunate part, we don't necessarily assist people on one-on-one or as individuals. Hence, we do that through our planned programs. But I think one needs to identify an attorney that can assist with that, because they are allowed, to do all this search because they are qualified to do that. But from the knowledge that I have, I do not have a specific site where you can search for this, but it's available on the advisory, aspect where you conduct attorneys that have specialized in that area.
Leaders, thank you for the question. Do we have another question or comment? Oh, it looks like we don't have other questions. Thank you very much, Doctor. Unless there's something you think you omitted.
That'll be all, Miss Kasa. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I would just want to indicate something. I won't be able to stay in the meeting, so I will exit the meeting now because I've got other commitments. But I really, really appreciate the invitation and be part of today's event. So thank you so much, colleagues.
Thank you very much. Bye. Okay, leaders, can we continue to our next guest, who is Jabulo Mbata from NYDA. He'll be taking us through programs on how to grow youth in business. Over to you, Jabulo.
Good morning, everyone. Is it good morning or good day? I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for affording myself and the organization that I represent to be part of this initiative. My name is Njabulo Mbata. I am a regional outreach officer for the National Youth Development Agency, which is commonly known as the NYDA, but I've heard others call it NADA. However, we prefer to call it NYDA. So I will speak on a few things in terms of the products and services that we have within the agency. I'm not going to be long because I will just, as much as we have 3 elements within the organization, which is entrepreneurship, education and skills development, as well as employment, I will just touch on entrepreneurship and education and skills development. So within the entrepreneurship part, we normally get young people coming to us, obviously, looking for financial assistance within the agency. And we do have a program for that, which we call the grant program. So the grant program has about 3 elements to it, thresholds rather. So threshold number 1 is where a young person can come to us and say, NYDA, I need funding. And this person can come with just an idea, and they don't need to have a registered business to do so. However, we will need a written form. I don't want to say business plan, but something that is jotted down that we will look at just to see if the business is feasible and if the idea is something that is sustainable and is something that can generate revenue and create sustainable job opportunities in the near future. And if that's the case, then you will be eligible for threshold number 1 within the grant program, where you qualify for between 1,000 Rand to 10,000 in funding. And then if we move to threshold number 2, now you need to have a registered business with CIPC. you need to have a bank account, and there needs to be some transactions within that business account for a period of 3 months. So mostly when we go out to excuse me, to outreach programs, we get young people saying, but we don't make enough money to bank it. Now things, I believe, are a bit much easier. We have institutions such as Time Bank, where you don't have to pay monthly fees for your business account. So you can just put in that 200 Rand today and take it out tomorrow. And that is a transaction that we look for, just to see that your business is operational and, you know, there is money coming in and out, because at the end of the day, that is what business is about. So you need to have that, and you need to be operating for a period of 3 months or more. There are other documents which obviously once you start with the application, and our BDOs or BDAs will assist in terms of letting you know what is it that we'll need from you. And if we move to threshold number 3, threshold number 2, sorry, you qualify for between 10,000 to 50,000 in funding, not more than that within threshold number 2. And then threshold number 3, also similar to threshold number 2, you need to have a registered business with CIPC. You need to have a business account operating for a period of 6 months or more. And we need to see also those transactions happening in your bank account, just to see that your business really is operating and it's creating a bit of profit there and there. You need to employ about 3 people on a permanent basis. And because when we fund you, we want you to create a sustainable business that will create sustainable opportunities. And for you to do that, you need to have, you know, enough time to focus 100% on your business. So we fund people who are unemployed, so that we know that you have all the time to focus on that business idea, on that business of yours. So if you are employed, then, you know, your attention will be divided. You will not give your business enough attention. So that is part of the requirement for you not to be employed, so that you can just focus on the business. So threshold number 3, you qualify for between 50 to 100,000 for PTYs. That is where our grant is kept, 200,000 in funding. However, if you have a cooperative that is within the technology sector or agriculture, you can qualify for up to 250,000 in funding. As a youth development agency, it's very important that people understand that we fund people within the ages of 18 to 35. So if you're above the age of 35, unfortunately, you're no longer qualified for the NYDA products and services. So that is our grant program, which is a financial assistance that you get within the agency. And as I speak of these products and services, all of them, they link. They're sort of like a chain. So once we've given you the grant, there is what we call a voucher program. So a voucher program is where now you feel like you need to grow your business, and then you come back to us and say, NYDA, you funded me, but now I want to reach a broader audience, or I want to do this or that. Come back to us and say, NYDA, you funded. So within our voucher program, what we had, because now we are busy reviewing the voucher program, so I'm not sure of what will come back and what will be added on to the voucher program, but I'll speak on of what we had in the past. So under the voucher program, we had things like your website, your business plan strategy, your business re-engineering, you had your branding, marketing. So you would get all of those things under the voucher program. So those things are meant to help you grow your business. So let's say you now want to reach a broader audience, that is where a website comes in. So now you want to be, you know, well represented. So that is where branding and marketing comes in. So those are some of the things that we had under the voucher program, which we might still do have once the new voucher program comes. So I'm not sure of that, so I'll not speak of it. So once we have given you the voucher, now your business is growing. We will then put you through to what we call mentorship. So you will be assigned a well-experienced mentor to assist you in this journey of entrepreneurship. And you will have access to this person for a period of 2 years. So if they are able to pick you up and say, okay, this is how you challenge this issue that you have, and they are able to assist you where they can so that you can really just grow your business. And then lastly, under the entrepreneurship umbrella, we have what we call market linkage. So market linkage, like I said, all these programs, they link sort of like a chain. So now you came to us, for instance, and said you wanted to plant, let's say, potatoes. Now you have 1,000 of them, but you don't have customers, you don't have clients, you don't have a market to sell to. And then you can still come back to us and say, NYDA, you funded me. I now do have 1,000 potatoes, but I don't have a market to sell to. And then we will then link you to the correct market that will sell your, that will buy your product, and then you will get profit and grow your business. And that is a cycle that we are able to assist you in terms of linking you to the market for you to be able to sell the product that you have. That is entrepreneurship and the products or services that we have under entrepreneurship. And then now we'll move to education and skills. Education and skills. So for you to qualify to apply either for the grant program, voucher program, mentorship, or market linkage, you need to go through what we call a BMT, a business management training that we offer at NYDA, which is a period of 5 days. We have a trainer that will train you on the basics of running a successful business. And once you receive a certificate for that, then you are able to go and apply for a grant program, voucher program, or any of these other products and services that I mentioned earlier on. However, if you do have a qualification, a university or technology or whatever qualification that touches on business management, you do not need to come and attend our business management training, because you already do have those basics or the basic understanding of running and managing a successful business. So you can just, jump straight through to applying for a grant or a voucher. So that is under the education and skills development. So now as an organization, we've also moved with this thing, the fourth industrial revolution. So we've moved from the paper system to the digital space. So meaning you do not need to come to the NYDA offices, as much as we have offices almost in every district within the province. And obviously we are national, so we are available in other provinces as well. But within the province, you do not have to come to our offices to apply for any of these products and services that are mentioned. However, you can do it in the comfort of your own home. If you have a smartphone or any smart device, you can able to go to our portal system where you can apply for any of these products and services that I've mentioned. We call it ERP. So how you access this ERP, you go to the internet and then you type erp.nyda.gov.za. So that is erp.nyda.gov.za. And then when you get there, you will go under youth inquiry, and then you'll put your particulars there, and then we'll send you an email with an activation link where you click on it and then you create a password. Once you've created that password, you can then go back again and log into your profile, and then you can go to products and services. You will see all of these things that I've spoken of and more, because we do have other things in there, but because today we are speaking of entrepreneurship, that is why I just touched on that. So if you do not have a business management training, you can then go under training and go under BMT, and then you put your details there, and one of our BDOs or BDAs will then be in contact with you to tell you how you are going to attend, maybe for the business management training, or if you've applied for the grant program, they will let you know of the steps that you need to take, and then that is something that you will do together until you are, if approved, and then you will be granted that grant. I also would like to encourage young people to really just, from time to time, look at our social media platforms, just to see some of the success stories that we have. I believe almost, every other day we do get response from the young people that we've assisted, and we do share on our social media platforms when they say, we've assisted them and they're growing and all of those things. So when you look at that, you may be yourself motivated to apply for any of the products and services that we have at NYDA. So on Facebook, you can get us. Our name is National Youth Development Agency. On Twitter, it's at NYDA RSA. On Instagram, it's NYDA_NYDA. So we'll just hold it there. And that is my presentation to you for today. And I'd like to thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And if you do have questions, I would love to take them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Njabulo. I have a question. You funding youth in technology and agriculture. Do you also, is that all, or do you fund other businesses?
Oh, okay. So when I mentioned agriculture and technology, that is only for the co-ops that want to qualify for the 250,000 rand voucher. However, we fund almost every business as long as it's not alcohol-based tobacco. We fund sex work, anything illegal. They call them sin businesses. We don't fund those. But however, we are open to all these other ideas we do fund.
All right. Thank you, leaders. Do you have any questions for Njabulo, comments? Okay, can we continue if we, thank you, Njabulo, very much. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll go to our next speaker. We're supposed to have Usis Londega, but because she's not online, we'll go to our next speaker, who is Dennis Rolls, our deputy SG for PBICT and the CEO of Pixelton. Over to you, Dennis. Thank you. Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yes. Oh, the other guys from.
We can hear you from YouTube, comrade. Yeah, I was just monitoring. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. Yes.
So we can hear you now, and we can see your slide on YouTube.
Okay, that's strange. Here's Zoom. This is strange. Yeah, that's what happens when you're doing too many things. Okay, please just give me a second. Let me try seeing what's happening here. I don't know. Let me just go into. Oh, okay. No. Oh, it's the Zoom.
Okay, I think we are back now. It's just the screen.
Yeah, there's no screen.
Yeah,
that's what happens when we. Yeah, it's not giving me access to the Zoom. Okay, wait, let me just unshare and then get back again. And I want to see what's happening. Let me just stop the share and then just try sharing again. It could be this open source. I'm using you guys should be able to see my screen. Can you guys see my share?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, lovely, thanks.
I didn't see your previous slide.
All right, so I think I'll just have it open like this. It's possibly safer. I'll do it like this. All right. Okay, thanks. So, so as I said, I was meant to introduce PBICT. So PBICT obviously is the only organization that uses political will to advocate for transformation for Black people in the ICT sectors in South Africa who need full participation in the economy in a time when technology is society's backbone. So that's who we are, obviously, as PBICT, if some don't know, if some are new to the organization. So as we were getting to it, we were exploring the idea of that there are about 300 million persons trying to start about 150 million businesses, and this is happening sometimes at an annual rate. And this is globally, obviously. And there's an estimation of about over 300 million companies worldwide in about 2021. So when you think about it, that's really, that's a lot. Yes, that's many businesses globally that are there, that are out there. Obviously, we're talking about branding for the space here. So obviously, we're at a point where we know that a logo is not a brand. But then the question is, what is a brand? So we quickly go through it. That one, if you look at what a brand is, it's what the audience says it is, but it's what the business or the business owners orchestrate and they want it to achieve. So they estimate a promise, and they work a promise that they want to deliver a specific. They want to alleviate a specific pain point, and then they go out to do that. So what branding is, obviously intentionally differentiating a business in order to build a better relationship with an audience. Why we say that is because an audience, people can't see the thing, but anyway, we have a recording of this. So an audience normally wants to decrease their anxiety to be able to make a choice and a purchase choice. So if the path is made shorter by a business, using branding as and the various instruments of branding, then it becomes easier to make that purchasing decision. And obviously, we look at brand strategy, which something helps. It's a framework that helps a business move from who they are to who they want to be, so they can win or capture the hearts and minds of an audience. So when we really think about it, is a global audience is something that we need to figure out, because they're easily accessible at this point, and we'll explore that. But once we understand the difference between branding, a brand, and a brand strategy, we are able to tap into these global markets, because being able to deliver using these instruments of branding, understanding brand strategy, having frameworks that enable us to roll out other things, innovate our products, make them better, because we have our audience in mind. So when we look at branding and the internet, especially global branding, is that obviously we know that the internet is growing, and global brands have been finding it easier to access audience, or to access a market. Although some of the approaches are the same, it's important to understand that a lot of the big brands are utilizing these mechanisms of creating global reach and to be able to win the hearts and minds of people globally. And there's some examples that we have here, like McDonald's, Google, IBM, Microsoft, Amazon, Disney, Samsung, and Apple. They are global phenomenons brand-wise. So they are always shining examples, but there is something that we can think about as emerging businesses, because we have to look at how do we grow from our local markets to be able to tap into a global market. It's not very difficult. I've said this in another engagement, that there's a gentleman, I always forget his name, a gentleman based in India, in like a rural, semi-rural area, makes about $20 million by himself a year by creating plugins for the Google suite. So plugins for Gmail, plugins for a variety of the applications that exist, and him by himself just sits as a developer. So he's reached a global market by himself by creating a product that touches on pain points. And I think it's important why we always touch on brand strategy, that allows us to get closer to that and understanding those pain points, because as entrepreneurs we solve problems, and we're not about selling solutions only. Because if it's a solution, it has to touch on very meaningful pain points where we can alleviate either a time problem, alleviate a budget problem, or alleviate a convenience problem. And normally those three kind of round up to what makes a product more appetizing to an audience. So obviously, brands today, I mean, we really have to consider the whole world as a market, as I gave that example of that gentleman in India, so that we don't restrict ourselves, obviously, and then obviously it allows us to reach different cultures and tap into different countries, and gives us an opportunity to explore how far our brands can reach. So it shows that branding is extremely important. We know that it's not a simple task, and then obviously having something called a global branding strategy becomes important, because now it'll enable us to figure out that particular market, right? We go in, we do that research, and then we figure out who we want to be in that market from who we are. So who we are, we're probably unknown in that market. Who do we want to be? We want to be known in that market. What are the strives and things that we need to do? What are the gravity points within that market that we can take advantage of and understand, so that we can establish ourselves if we need to go into those particular territories. And obviously, there's a lot of advantages becoming a global brand. As we know, because obviously it pushes up sales. You can move from where maybe where Turvan space is in terms of developing, especially with that need for technology businesses. Technology businesses are easily transformable to becoming global businesses, because especially if your business touches on very important pains that people have, and as we explained, this is normally would be the aspect of looking at the pains of convenience, the pains of price, and yes, so these type of things really help. But obviously sometimes it's also just a pain of social status. So sometimes a solution or a business can alleviate the pain of social status, because the much higher market likes exclusivity. So they want to be part of the group of the rare. So if your product or your solution allows them to access that, then it touches on that particular pain. But obviously the most important thing is what branding allows us to do, even on a global scale. It allows us to convert potential customers and clients to an audience, because an audience has a high return potential, or what we call is a repeat offender. So we want to be able to build a repeat offender once we've established ourselves. And so through the means of branding, we are able to do that. So I do want to touch a bit on, when we're talking about branding and deliberate differentiation, is there's a lot of things that go into branding. It's not just the look and feel and your letterhead and your website and all of those type of things. You really have to understand how you connect with your audience, and how you create a much shorter distance between them. So you can use means of content marketing, pushing innovation in your business, being the first or being better at something. For example, the shining example is Apple, that I always like using. They don't really invent anything, but they push innovation. They want to make something that exists better. They want to make a better experience. Because remember, we said in the beginning that a brand is experienced by an audience. They determine what it is. So if you can crack that on a global scale, then it becomes much easier for you to land with the audience. I mean, we really know that the globe, wrong image. We know that the globe is at our fingertips, because if we want to build global brands, we all know that the internet is going to be something that will be able to assist us. So we're looking at something that has an access of about 5 billion people, and I think it should be over that as we move, but it's something that's going to increase. We have access via websites, via trading platforms. We have access via social media, and we have the ability now to build our own e-commerce systems, whether we're using something that exists or we become part of Turvan's program, and go to Onjabulo and them and ask for and get assistance to build our own platforms, to be able to tap into these markets, because they're all sitting here, all part of the internet. So yet again, the idea is a brand has a good relationship with its audience, and it's important that when you're building global relevance, you're building it through your audience who are going to buy. They make you relevant, so it's important to understand them and do enough market research to figure out what do those people need your solution in the first place? How would they interact with it? What do you want them to interact with? And then you start building the relationship. Obviously, you want to look at your internal processes when building a brand also. So you build a good brand culture that allows for growth and innovation and really pushing the envelope. Because as we know, in the technology space, 6 months can be maybe 10 years in other industries. So as we entering Web 3.0, although it's scary, we're having market crashes in the crypto spaces and all of that, Web 3.0 is going to really be able to push a lot of interesting things. My comrade Turvan mentioned something about forfeiting our data to foreign businesses and countries, to global businesses which are from foreign countries. So once we understand how to circumvent that using Web 3.0, we know that in Web 3, we now own our content, and also finding ways to tap into those markets. So that's why innovation becomes very important if it's part of your culture, to be able to reach out globally, even if it means that you're shipping a piece of hardware, because right now we're using phones from different countries, we're using driving cars from different countries. So once we want to compete in that space, brand strategy helps you, and the branding process helps you differentiate yourself and carve a market. We've seen in the vehicle market, in the auto market, there's been new players coming in and really penetrating it, because they figured out what South Africans need, and they have figured out one of the important things was that particular point, of price and convenience, because they want to be included in a specific way socially. So they really tapped into that as a brand. So they seem very progressive and all of these type of things. So it's very important. So I think when we're looking at building our brands for global markets, it's always good to start with a brand strategy. So whether you go to Njabulo or you start by Turvan, it doesn't really matter, or you go past the doctor at MKI, when we're looking at protecting our IP for both locally and globally. Branding helps that. So remember, even IP falls into branding. Owning a color, owning a symbol, all of these things are very important. So that's part of the visual side of the brand. But there's also a voice side of the brand, or what is the audio part of the brand, is how it speaks and how it interacts with people. That all it's all on that layer of customer relationship or audience relationship, which is extremely, extremely important. And we really need to think about it that way, that we need to have a separate strategy, one brand strategy for our local market, because we have first-hand information, and then obviously the global information, whether we're using desktop, we're using statistics, we're using any form of analytics, so that we understand that whatever product or service that we have, we will be able to penetrate those markets. One, because the need is there, and two, because the characteristics of the audience will allow that brand to actually work. So you'd figure out how you use content marketing and your advertising strategies, your relationship building strategies within those markets, understanding their culture, how you react to that particular culture, and then separate, because if you're going to in the Asian markets and American markets, they don't really react the same. So your global strategy has to look at that, and you have to be intentional as much as possible, because if you're looking at your strategy going into these markets, whether it's from brand level all the way to your business strategy, all the way to your marketing strategies, sales strategies, and all of these type of things, the core will be able, the core at brand strategy level will allow you to be able to create internal culture, so you can create that external and to be able to orchestrate the external culture. So once we reach those levels and we've actually done the analysis that we need, because we want to be relevant in the global scale and the global markets, after we've gotten help from our government, incubation centers, get funding, we help to protect our symbols and so forth, then we can be able to move into a space where we'd be able to build strategic brands, because what we can achieve is sustainability in terms of being able to procure, if you're in the hardware side, be able to service, and all of these type of things create loyalty, because we've created a relationship with our audience, and we understand where their needs are. We know they are burning pain points, and we address those pain points with our products and solutions. We're not just flooding a market or flooding the market of services and goods that are not needed, and we go directly to failure points. We become profitable. We become profitable, because that's what we want to achieve anyway, and it allows us to achieve that when we build a proper brand, both internally and externally. The ability to adjust, because pivoting is very important, especially in the technology spaces. We really need to know and understand how to pivot when the world changes. Just not so long ago, although Meta has retrenched some people, there's been shifts in their platforms. I mean, Facebook is forever changing. Anyone who buys media on Facebook knows that those business portals change forever, same as Google and Twitter. And also WhatsApp has changed now. They've added communities and these type of things. So obviously the ability to adjust to a global climatization with regards to business, and also be able to push innovation, because I feel, and I think many of us in the technology space believe, that innovation is going to be the driving force to make you relevant, because without innovation you become stale, you'll then be left behind. So that ability to adjust and ability to push innovation has to be something that's part of the brand culture that you build as an internal brand. And also you have to understand that your audience will allow you to carry out that type of innovation. So thank you very much. That's the end of the presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you very much. You guys, leaders, do you have questions or comments before I hand over to Chairperson of PBICT to close for us? Any questions or comments? If there's none, thank you all from my side. It was nice hosting this event of today. I think I've been empowered. I'll hand over to you, and Dumiso, our chairperson, and we'll do the closure for us. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. We really appreciate this time. It was such a powerful event, and it's really changed a whole lot of things about entrepreneurship, the way things are, and how to really navigate on the systematic barriers that are there for small businesses and entrepreneurs, so that they will have easy access into the playing field. And we need innovation, we need information in order for us to be empowered. And we really thank everyone who did come and participate. And it was such an empowering session. And I believe this is not the last and the first session that we are having about entrepreneurship. And I've just heard one of the comments that we need to have a live session as well, which is going to be physical as well. We really appreciate everything that you have shared, colleagues. And thank you for your time. Thank you for coming, especially it's Saturday today. People, they need to spend time with their families and to do other things as well. But thank you just for coming and just having this time with PBICT. And ours is all about access and ownership, and all about opening the access for everyone to able to participate into the economy of South Africa and above and beyond South Africa as well. So we really like to thank Commissioner for gracing us with your presence and just sharing powerful information with us. And also welcome for sharing his journey as an entrepreneur, Uche from Mpumalanga. We also like to thank Dr. Ngema from NKI, and we also like to continue to thank Usfundo, who shared about funding models as well. And we'd like to thank Unjabulo from NYDA, and not to forget our Dennis Rawls, who is a DSG, who really saved the day today because of the load shedding. He just made sure that we continue having these sessions, and even on YouTube. We really thank you, Comrade Dennis, for making sure that you're saving the day. And everyone that participated, and all the guests, and everyone that was viewing on YouTube, and everyone that was on Zoom as well. We'd like to thank even our facilitator, Toby Legasa, comrade, thank you. And we'd like to thank you for everything, colleagues. Have a blessed weekend till we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.